Hi everyone, welcome to another video. This one's again on RetroBat, actually a follow-up to a video I did recently around the installation. One of the comments was asking whether I could show how to install some of the additional emulators, because obviously some of the basic ones comes with it, but some of the more advanced ones don't come packaged, because you can imagine if they're all packaged together it may make it quite a large download. So a lot of them are downloaded on demand. So basically, when you're going to add a game to that system, or you want to go in and manually add the emulator, it'll prompt you to download it. It'll download the latest version for you and install. So what I was going to do, also I can't show every single one because there's quite a few in there. So I'm just going to pick a couple of the I guess the main popular ones. So we'll do Cemu, the Wii U, and then we'll do PS2 and PS3. So hopefully give an idea of how to do it. It's the same for most of them. So yeah, let's crack on. What I'm going to do it kind of like on the fly. It's how I like to do most of my videos, just kind of not too pre-planned. So if I run into any issues, you can see them, and if it's an issue you run into, you can hopefully see how to sort it out. So the only thing I've really done in advance is I've got some games together, and I've got the download for the installation. Also, yeah, as previously mentioned or previously shown in the other guides, if you do a Google search quickly, it says this for RetroBat. The first hit in Google is still the old site, retrobat.org now is the newer site. Yeah, so hit download, and then also you go here, you can download the latest version. There's some updates here. There's a patch if you've got a previous version you want to update, etc. But yeah, just basically go ahead and grab the latest version from here. Like I say, I've already got that in my downloads folder. So, oh, having said that, I think 5.1.1 is out now, but it should just be probably a couple of fixes. So we'll stick with this version. So to whiz through the install quickly, I'm going to stick it on my X drive, a folder called Demo, which is where I've put some of the games and other bits and pieces. Let me just double check that. So on my X drive, yeah, Demo, launch box, and the video I did the other day. And also, like I said, I've got some games together all ready to use for this demonstration. So yeah, let's put it back into X RetroBat and do install, and you should see, yeah, it's created the folder already, and start to put bits and pieces in. You can always click on show details if you're interested. It basically shows all the files that it's extracting. So let that run through. While it's done that, actually, rather than pausing the video or anything, like I say, yeah, so in with the games, I've got a BARS folder. So in here is some of the systems need BARS files, not all of them, but some of them. I'm pretty sure I left in one of my other videos a link to where you can get a full RetroBat BIOS pack to cover everything you need. I'll put it in the link in the description here as well. You can download that and basically extract it into your within RetroBat. There'll be a I haven't done it yet, but yeah, in the root this is BARS folder, and you basically download this pack and dump everything in there, and that'll give you all the BARS files you need. But like I said, I'll just grab a couple I know we need for this and put in here. One important one is one for the PS3. You don't need a BIOS as such, but it's the PlayStation firmware. But it's not a problem getting that. You can get that directly from the PlayStation website. So if we just do a PlayStation update, yeah, so PlayStation website 4.89 is the latest version. Click here to download it, and you can see just the bottom of the screen there. It downloads it as a PS3 updat.pop. And that's the file I have here. See, it's roughly 200 meg. So to set up PS3 you'll need that, so worth grabbing that. And let's see, this is still going. So let me just pause quickly while this gets to the end. Okay, so we're at the end now. Got the option to create a desktop shortcut. I'm just going to tick that for now. Right, so that's it, basically finished. So we have a look in our demo folder. We've got RetroBat. One thing I'm going to do, again as I did in the other video, was make sure this doesn't start full screen, because I've found out before my screen recording software doesn't like it running sort of full screen apps. So this bat GUI.exe is a way of allowing you to configure some of the settings within with RetroBat. So we're going to the main one here, and I just want it to run at 1280 by 720. Hit save. Now save it to a little config file or ini file. And then we can close this. Close this. Now when we run RetroBat for the first time, it should run in a small window for us so we can see it easy. And there we go. So fresh install of RetroBat. So you'll see here you've got sort of standard categories, and under the RetroBat menu is where you see all the different emulators. So again, as I mentioned before, you can come through here and pick the ones you want, and if they're ones that aren't installed by default, it'll prompt you saying it's not there, do you want to download it, and say yes. And just seeing a notification at the top here, so 5.11 is available, so we can update that through here if we wish to, but I won't at the moment. So yeah, so you either go through here and kind of pre-install and load the emulators. The other way around of doing it is adding some games in to RetroBat, and then the first time you try to launch a game, at that point it'll then prompt you, say this emulator isn't installed, do you want to install it now? Say yes, but it's easy to do it ahead of time. So like I say, let's do Semu for Wii U. So we just go to launch this, and it should tell me, yep, not installed. It's running full screen, so hopefully you can see it okay. It's just going to download it for us. And then because we're not actually launching the game, we're just launching the emulator, it just runs it up for us here. So this is where, once we've got it run up here, this is where we can do things like set any config that we need to in here. So things like input settings, we can set up the controller. Also I haven't got my controller connected. I'll try and do that quickly, actually make sure it all shows up. Just make sure it is actually connected. Let's check on Bluetooth. So I have got an Xbox One wireless controller. I think I've actually synced it to a different device since using it here last, so let me just resync it. I'll basically remove it and re-add it. Oh, remove power, that's handy. Right, so let's just do a quick scan for Bluetooth. I've got the put it in pairing mode, there it is. Connected. Excellent, right. That's now connected. I don't know, I need to restart this to pick it up. I might need to. So let's just close this. So that's actually Semu installed. I'll worry about the controller in a minute. And then what I'll add a couple of emulators, and then I'll come back and we'll add some games and make sure everything runs. So let's add PCSX2 for PS2. Again, same thing, it's not installed, you install it, it'll go and grab the latest version for you. Yeah, so starts up here. So there's no game at the moment, we're going to add the games afterwards. So there's all bits in here again around controllers. But what I'll do, I'll quickly try these as well to see whether, because some of the systems in here are going to be pre-configured, and we don't need to necessarily set the controls up manually. So we'll basically leave it and just make sure it all works. So that's that one installed. And then lastly, for this demo, let's do PS3. Okay, for downloading. Okay, so that's launched. Like I say, PS3 is the one where you need the PlayStation firmware. So what we'll do is go to install firmware, and we'll browse to the folder that we're working from, the demo folder. Under games and BIOS, there's the PlayStation update file we talked about. Let's just install that, copy it across, and then it goes full screen. Let me just resize that. Hope you can see that. It does this piece here around compiling some modules. So this is just a one-time thing. So what I'll do, I'll just quickly pause. It's going to take a couple of minutes just to compile these. Okay, those are done. So now see, we're pretty much ready to go. Again, in here you've got some config around things like the CPU, the graphics, resolution, all that kind of stuff that you can change. Feel free to play in there, but I'll just recommend leaving it as default. One thing I will do is on the emulator is untick the box to start full screen. Obviously you probably want this, but for the demo I'm going to untick this because it's easier to see the game running in a window for me rather than full screen. So I just changed that, and obviously again in here you've got the option to set up your controls. So for X input, see it's got pad 1, which is the Xbox controller, and we can just see this in here. If I do things like do up, press up on the controller, and you can map all the buttons, but everything should be pretty much good to go. So L1 is left bumper, yeah, see that's right, and then left trigger, yeah, left trigger. So that's all should be ready to go. Shouldn't need to change anything in there. Let's cancel that there. So that's the basic part of the PlayStation 3 stuff done. So we'll just close that. Actually, while I'm in here, I will show a game running, because to add them into the actual RetroBat menu, it's slightly different, and there's a guide for that. So to install the games for PS3, you've got two different I guess formats. You've got you can download the games in package format, so they come in a .pkg file, which are basically games that on the PlayStation 3 you'd download from the store. They're kind of like the online version of the game, downloadable version. So you'll get the package file, browse to it and say, or click on install package, browse to it and install it, and it'll copy it as if it was installing it to the PlayStation 3 in the actual emulator folder. There's a so I'll go to Emulators now and find our PS3. See, it's got things. So like dev HC0 is almost like it's like a virtual hard drive that would exist in the PS3. So if you click install, it will install it into the game folder here. This is where your games would appear as if they were installing. The other format is to actually have games in kind of folder format, which is what I've got for my demo game. So I go in here, we've got Afterburner. So this is kind of the format. This is kind of what would be on a physical disc of the game, after it's been extracted off. So what we'll do is just take this, and I will just copy this into. So within RetroBat, all the games are stored in a ROMs folder, and it has all these files and folders, sorry, these folders pre-configured for you. So there'll be a empty folder ready for PS3. So we go here and we'll just paste that in there. And then with some of these systems, it's similar for the Wii U as well. it uses an M3U file, which is basically, if you played an MP3, it's basically like a playlist file. So this is an example they give, and you basically within here just point it to the I guess the installation folder of the game. So again, like I mentioned a minute ago, the actual game there is on the hard drive, and then this would be a game ID unique to the game, and then the eboot.bin will be the bootable file to start the game. But we'll go through that in a minute. So here we have the of the game here. So now what we can do for the emulator is say add games, put it where to look. So we're going to look for ROMs. PS3 folder, Afterburner, select the folder, and there you go, it's added. So now in theory, you can double click this to launch. And there you go, starts to launch. And again, it's compiling these PPU menus, so the modules, sorry. So these are kind of like patches for the games. And again, this is a one-time thing. It should be quite quick, hopefully, with any luck. So we're getting to the point now where we've got the emulator installed and configured. We're adding a game in. Once we check this works, the next step is just to add it into RetroBat itself, make it visible in the list so you can pick it. Of course, here we're doing it quite manually. We're opening up the emulator manually, double clicking the game, which is fine. But the whole reason is to go through RetroBat as a nice front end, controlled with the gamepad. So we'll get that bit sorted out in a second. And now the game launches. So happy that's working okay. And you'll see slightly at the bottom the compiling shaders. So whenever a new scene launches that's not launched before, it'll compile the shaders for it. And again, that's a one-time thing. So maybe the first time you play a game, it might be a little bit slow because it's doing that. It's compiling those shaders for the first time. See again, bottom corner, it's just doing there. But then once it's done it, there's a little bit of juddering as it does it. Like I say, once it's done it once, it won't need to do it again. So yeah, kind of into demo mode now. But yeah, as you can see, that's playing quite well. So we'll close this down. And close that down. And the next thing we'll do, we'll copy some of the other games in. So if I come back to games here, like I say, I had PS2 as well. I've got games here, so again, I'll take these, I'll copy these into the RetroBat ROMs folder. So again, the big one for PS2. And then while that's copying as well, I've got Mario Kart for the Wii U, so I'll copy that into our RetroBat ROMs folder as well. Should be Wii U folder. And again, this is the one that uses that M3U kind of playlist, so you can tell it where to find the games. So what I'll do, I'll just take a copy of this, and we'll call it M3U. So if I now open that with Notepad, So it's basically the RPX file is kind of the executable for the Wii U games. So that copy is still just running. It's a couple of gig in size. Game. So what we'll find is inside here, inside the code folder, Turbo RPX is what I'm looking for. So in this folder here, Mario Kart 8 game code. So we go back to here. Mario Kart game, and then it's Turbo to RPX. Not quite sure what's Turbo, but it's down to how Nintendo named it. So basically we've got a little playlist here which tells it where to find the game. And there we go. Go back here, back to Wii U, and I think this needs to be called the name of the game. So Mario Kart 8 and 3U. And like I said, we had very similar for PS3. You have this text file, but it's slightly different in here. You need to know the game ID, which is a unique ID per game, and you won't find that unless you look in there. But what there is there's a handy guide on the RetroBat website. So if we go back here and go to their FAQs, frequently asked questions, there's a whole bunch here which helps you out about adding Windows games and adding some games to different systems. There's one here for PS3. So if we come down here, so it basically tells you, yeah, so it's basically looking for so in two formats, disk format or a dematerialized games format, as I was talking about on this virtual hard drive where it installs it to. But the actual little utility we used earlier to change RetroBat to launch full screen or not, we can use that to create the playlist for us rather than trying to do it manually. So in the root of the RetroBat folder, we run this bat GUI. So let's go through and just run this, follow their guide. Go for that. So where is it? There it is. So basically we're gonna open up this, and we're going to do the M3U creator. So we're going to, this is the folder where the Emulator is installed. You can use the same thing for Xbox 360, we're doing it for PS3. Now I think what might be happening is, because format I've got it in, it's actually in a folder format, isn't it? So maybe we don't need to do this. Maybe this is just for the games that we installed as package files. Let me just double check this. So if we go to our demo folder, if I point at the actual PS3 folder where we put the game, see what it does for us. Go to their afterburner. Select that one and scan. Okay, so it's now found the game. If it doesn't pick up the game name automatically, you can type it in. So yeah, adding PS3 is a little bit fiddly. So I'll have to go to Climax and then click Generate. So that should now go through, click Generate. It should create one in that ROMs folder. So yeah, so that's just I did it right for the Wii U because there's a playlist per game, which is what I did. So let's just make sure. PS3. Okay, yeah, so it's created the afterburner climax.m3u file. We right click and open that with Notepad to have a look. So yeah, it's basically pointing to the eboot.bin, which is in the folder, in the user folder, and under that game folder. So that should be that. So now, in theory, we've done what we need to do. We can close this, come back to Emulation Station, come back out of here, and we could just restart and it'll pick up the games, but we also go into the menu, go to Game Settings, and do Update Game Lists. So yes. Now if we go through, we've got Wii U, so we come to here. I think it does the scan as well, because with inside the Wii U game folders, you'll see under Mario Kart you've got a game folder which is the main game itself, and under that code folder is the main executable. There's also DLCs, the downloadable content, which is kind of the same structure, so it's going to pick up that as well. And there's also an update folder to update the game to the latest version. So basically, if you're on a Wii U, it does a patch of the game that gets stored in here. And again, that's what code folder. So basically, the scanner picks up that. So you just need to go and kind of get them. But we've got that's what we want. This one here. So these ones, you can just hold the button down. And I think I'll do delete game. So no, because that will delete the actual game file, so we don't want to do that because that actually ended up deleting. So what I can just do is make it hidden. And then this one as well, hold down the A button. Go down to edit metadata right at the bottom, hidden, save. So now we've got Mario Kart 8. Now in theory, if I select this, with any luck, it's playing, but it's playing full screen. Yeah, hopefully you can see that okay. It might be a little bit slow because my PC's recording as well at the same time. Yeah, so I think what I might have to do is just do the input settings. Controller. Yeah, so I might need to check this outside of the game so we can just configure the I'm only seeing keyboard there at the moment. Here we can add. Okay, so that should have added the Xbox controllers. Let's see if that's worked. I might need to restart. Okay, it's working. Well, there's no sound because I'm not recording it. But let's say the Xbox controller can hear me moving about. Also, get on Nintendo, they reverse the A and B buttons, don't they? Right, so it's playing. That's playing okay. So again, this is similar to the PS3 emulator, where occasionally you'll see compiling shaders pop up, and it might be a slight slowdown when it does that, but once you've done it for the first time, you're good to go. So yeah, that's all running fine, and it's added. It's appeared in the list. Obviously, you can scrape the artwork and get all the artwork there if you need to. Or, well, you probably will want to. And then, so for PS2, we've got our games in here. Now, it should error now. It should error saying it hasn't got a BARS file. There you go. So if we just say okay, no. So like I say, yeah, some systems need BARS files. Obviously for the PS3, obviously Wii U didn't need it. The PS3 was the PlayStation firmware that we copied across. But for PS2, it does need an actual BARS file. Like I say, under RetroBat, folder. There's a BAS folder where all the BASes go, and like I said, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get a full pack, which you just dump in here. But for this, I do have some BAS files, and I think for the PS2, it's these ones. I think the other ones are for PlayStation 1. Obviously, that's for the PS3. So I'll just take those. I mean, having said that, I may as well take the whole lot apart from that, so I don't need that. I'll copy those, go to RetroBat, BIOS, right click, paste. So it's now got all the BIOS files in there. So now, in theory, when I launch this, it should launch without moaning. And again, it's going to try and launch full screen, so you may or may not be able to see it. Yeah, it's launching, but it's just slightly off the screen. So we'll just escape on that one. So what I might be able to do, just to show that, is actually let's just do PS3 while we're here. Again, so you can see Afterburners there. See, this is a bit misleading because it's saying, even though we've installed the firmware correctly, it still does a pre-check to look in here for the PSP file, even though it doesn't need it in there. We've installed it already in the emulator, but just to prove the point, we'll take that. Go to RetroBat folder, BIOS, paste it in there, and now we launch the game. It doesn't moan. There is an option to turn that off, that kind of BIOS check, which we can have a look at. So it's looking for the game under the emulator folder, which isn't quite right. So I'm not quite sure why it's done that. So we can double check it. Okay, this is what I like to do. I like to do the videos kind of a little bit ad hoc. So if stuff does go wrong, we can hopefully fix it. So let's just check the M3 file. I'm sure there should be a leading dot there, so it's a relative path, so where it launches from. Let's try that. So I'm sure you compare that to playlist for the Wii U. If we had Mario Kart, yeah, so you got that leading dot, which basically says start from the current folder. So the current folder being the Wii U folder under ROMs. Look for a folder called Mario Kart, etc. So let's just try that and see if that works. And there we go. And then launch full screen. Just resizing it so you can see it. And we launch. Yeah, so my controller's not working in there, so we'll fix that. Like I say, that's all the systems added, emulators added. Just a bit of tweaking now for the actual controller. Oh no! Hit the launch button again. Don't want to do that. Where's it gone? Come on. Close that off. Make sure I hit the right button this time. Right. Okay, so just to do the tweak, and I say go back to the RetroBat folder, come into here. So for SEMU, we configure the controller while we're in there. That's fine. That'll work. And then for PS3, go here, and this will see, like I said before, this will just launch the emulator with no game. So now when we're in here, we go to paths, player 1, I'll do X input. So that should be good to go. You can see here in the analog stick as I move it around, it moves, it's registering. And I'll just click save there. So that should in theory be it. So we can now close and come out. While we're here, we can just double check PS2 as well. And we've got controllers. Turn on that one. We'll just try this. Obviously autosave where it was, handy. Just see if this works. Answer to that is nope. So let's just see if we can get it working. Things there. So I click each one. Three, 3. Two. See, I'm clicking each one of these, and as I click on the corresponding button, I hit the corresponding button on here. Right analog, up, left, right, down. Now, do I need to save? Oh, I can't remember. I'll just close that. And there we go, up, down. That's working now. Start button. Yeah, see. So controller working, that's good. So that's pretty much it. Like I say, it should be pretty much the same for other controllers. Obviously now I've got my, I don't want to configure the controller in here. So they're all set up. Like I say, just the last thing you probably want to do is do the scraping. Let's go back in, do the scraping. ScreenScraper, as I said before, I tend to use because it just works really well. Need to type in my details. Oh, I've got a tendency to enter on the keyboard, and that's not what I need to press. Scraper, settings, password. And I'll do a quick scrape now. And you see the top corner here, it's starting to scrape. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long. I think what you might find in the Wii U, it's going to search for that name, that turbo name. So whether it's going to pick it up correctly, I don't know. But there's one way to find out. So I was going to leave this to run for a second. Okay, so the scraping finished. So just to make that take effect.